Very recently, Ford drove a street-legal Mustang around the most brutal racetrack on Earth and posted a time of 6 minutes 40 seconds. That's not a typo. A car you can drive to the grocery store just destroyed the green hell faster than almost anything that has ever turned a wheel there. And then there's the part they don't put in the press release. This car, the most technologically advanced Mustang Ford has ever built, is completely banned from racing. Not because it cheated, not because it broke any rules on the street, but because the technology Ford engineered into it is so far ahead of what the racing establishment allows, they had to outlaw it. This is the story of the Ford Mustang GTD, the $300,000 American muscle car that went so fast they had no choice but to ban it. What Ford actually built. Let's start with what we're looking at, because most people have no idea how insane this car actually is. The Mustang GTD started as Ford's attempt to build a street-legal version of their GT3 race car. Not inspired by a race car, not race car styling with a family sedan underneath, a genuine road-legal GT3 machine that you can register, insure, and drive to work. Under the hood sits a supercharged 5.2-liter V8. In the GTD Competition, the version that just set the Nürburgring record, that engine has been pushed well beyond the base car's 815 horsepower. Ford hasn't released the exact number. They don't need to. The lap time tells the story. But here's where it gets interesting, and this is what the other channels are missing entirely. The engine is almost beside the point. What makes the GTD genuinely revolutionary and genuinely threatening to the racing establishment is everything else. The suspension. Ford fitted the GTD with adaptive spool valve dampers. When you punch it into track mode, this car doesn't just get stiffer, it physically lowers itself 40 millimeters. The ride height drops, the center of gravity drops with it, and the ground effect aerodynamics underneath the car activate at a level the standard ride height can't achieve. It's an active suspension system, and it is absolutely categorically banned in GT3 competition. Then there's the wing. Look at the rear of this car. That massive hydraulically actuated wing isn't just for show, it's generating up to 1,950 pounds of downforce using a system of wings, blades, and underbody flaps working together. And with a push of a button, just like Formula One, the drag reduction system opens up, sheds that resistance, and lets the car breathe down the straight. DRS on a street car in 2026. Ford didn't just build a fast Mustang, they built a car loaded with technology the FIA specifically banned from professional racing, and then they took it to the Nürburgring and proved exactly why it was banned. The Nürburgring moment. To understand why this matters, you need to understand what happened 4 days ago. Ford sent factory driver Dirk Müller, a man who has raced at Le Mans, who knows the Nordschleife better than most people know their own neighborhood, to the green hell with the GTD. Müller posted a 640.835. That is more than 11 seconds faster than the standard GTD's previous record. On a track where tenths of a second represent months of engineering work, 11 seconds is not an improvement, it's a statement. To put it in tribal terms your audience understands, the Corvette ZR1X came to the Nürburgring not long ago, set a record, and Ford CEO Jim Farley responded publicly with 2 words: game on. The GTD Competition answered that challenge, and it answered it with authority. But here's what makes this story different from every other Nürburgring record story you've seen. Those other channels are covering the lap time. Speed and Style is covering the reason this car can never be allowed to race against the cars it just embarrassed.
Why they banned it. The FIA, the Fédération Internationale de l'Automobile, is the governing body that sets the rules for GT3 racing worldwide, and they have very specific opinions about the technology Ford put in the GTD. The active suspension ban goes back to 1994 Formula One. Williams had developed an active suspension system so sophisticated, so precise, that their cars were becoming dangerously unstable at the limits of the technology. The FIA banned it. 32 years later, Williams still hasn't fully disclosed how it worked. The FIA's position on active suspension hasn't changed. It's a driver aid. It equalizes cars in ways that remove skill from the equation, and it stays banned. Ford knows this. They built it anyway, because on a street car, there are no referees. The DRS ban comes down to two things. First, cost. GT3 is supposed to be accessible racing. Privateer teams, smaller manufacturers, independent drivers. Hydraulically actuated active aero systems are not cheap. Mandating them would end GT3 as a category. Second, dirty air. Cars generating 1,950 pounds of downforce on demand would make close racing nearly impossible. The aerodynamic wake behind one of these things would be violent enough to destabilize any car trying to follow. The power ban is almost laughable by comparison. GT3 cars run approximately 500 horsepower, managed through something called balance of performance, BOP, which ensures no single manufacturer dominates through raw power. The GTD Competition is running over 800 horsepower. Ford didn't just exceed the GT3 limit, they blew past it and kept going. 3 separate technologies, all banned, all on the same street car. Now ask yourself the question the FIA doesn't want you asking. If this technology makes cars this much faster, why isn't it making racing better? Why are we watching 500 horsepower race cars when Ford just proved a street-legal car can do what they did? The answer they'll give you is parity, cost, and competition integrity. The answer speed and style gives you is because if they allowed it, the American cars would win. And the European racing establishment has never been comfortable with that. The history they're not telling you. This is not the first time American muscle technology got the door shut in its face. The Chaparral 2J, Jim Hall's ground effect vacuum car, used 2 snowmobile engines to literally suck the car to the pavement. It worked so well they banned it after 1 season. The FIA called it a movable aerodynamic device. What they meant was, this American engineer just made your European race cars look slow, and we can't have that. The Dodge Charger Daytona and Plymouth Superbird, wings so tall you could walk under them, so aerodynamically dominant at Talladega that NASCAR banned them, then banned the cars entirely when Chrysler refused to neuter them. The most aerodynamically advanced cars in NASCAR history, outlawed because they were too good. The Brabham BT46B fan car won its only race, banned before the next round. There is a pattern here. Build something genuinely revolutionary, prove it works, get banned. Ford didn't stumble into this situation. They walked into it with their eyes open, spent a reported $300,000 per unit, loaded the GTD with every piece of technology the rulebook forbids, and then set a lap time that made the argument for them. Whether that was deliberate provocation or just Ford's racing division doing what Ford's racing division does, the result is the same. The most advanced street-legal Mustang in history, banned from the competition it was born to win. The button. 6 minutes and 40 seconds, around the most dangerous racetrack on the planet, in a car you can legally drive on public roads. Banned. Not for cheating, not for cutting corners. Banned because Ford engineering sat down, looked at what the rules allowed, decided those rules were a ceiling and not a target, and built something that made the ceiling irrelevant. The FIA will tell you it's about cost and competition. Maybe, but a $300,000 American muscle car with a banned suspension, banned aerodynamics, and banned power output sitting at the top of the Nürburgring leaderboard right now, and the only way the racing establishment could stop it was to make sure it never got on the grid. They banned the Chaparral, they banned the Daytona, they banned the fan car. Now they've banned this. Some things never change. If you want to see the cars they tried to bury, the technology they couldn't allow, and the American engineers who kept building anyway, you know where to find us. Drop a comment, Ford or Chevy, who wins this war? And we'll see you in the next one.